Welcome back to the Infinity Podcast. Today I'm joined by David Gottfried, widely recognized as the father of the global green building movement and founder of both the US and World Green Building Councils, which have now expanded to over 80 countries and help transform how the world's built. David's career spans decades at the intersection of sustainability, innovation, and purpose-driven leadership. He's the founder and CEO of Region 360, a firm helping accelerate green building councils worldwide and build a global marketplace for regenerative solutions. In this conversation, we'll explore the origins of the green building movement, investing in sustainable development, and what it truly means to build for impact. David, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Look forward to a good conversation.
Now, David, what inspired you to found the US and the World Green Building Councils, and how did you turn an idea into a global movement?
Well, my father would tell you, my late father passed, that I always wanted to make a difference in the world and be a change agent. And these were my vehicles. And I wanted my life to not just be about making money, but to have passion, purpose, and legacy. And I grew up in the building industry in all my careers. Started career one in Washington, D.C. as a real estate developer. We had a construction firm. And I tripped into the American Institute of Architects, which is not for developers so much, but they had a start of a committee of the environment in about 1991, and a light bulb went off, and I said, this is so cool. We can make buildings great that have more daylighting, better air quality, lower energy. They're renewable, and even now, decades later, net zero and into the positive. But as an engineer that I was, we could look at having minimal waste and inefficiency and maximum productivity and health. And so I dedicated now 33 years to that initiative. I guess it's even more, 34 years, and still going strong.
David, when you first learned about this movement and the whole sustainability ecosystem, how did you get the passion to turn it into such a global movement? Like, what prompted you, what inspired you to do that?
The initial idea wasn't a global movement. It was, we were thinking as big as we could, and that was to do it just for the US. And we called it the US Green Building Council. And we made a logo day one that looked like a government seal. And you'll even see it now, the LEED Green Building Rating System has that same circle in our oak leaf logo. But that seemed huge. But it wasn't big enough, and it ended up spreading all over the world. And LEED is in some 180 countries. And we weren't thinking that big, but it happened. And then years later, I founded a second nonprofit, the World Green Building Council, because a green consultant in Japan was bugging me. And I went to Tokyo to welcome the Japan Green Building Council, our second country. And I was a big dreamer, and so I said, well, I got Japan, the US, this is going to be global. I hereby found the World Green Building Council. And both initiatives, the US and World GBC, are strong today. US GBC, I had the idea in 92, and here we are as strong as ever, with LEED version 5 just came out. And they're all over the world, many forms of LEED and LEED accredited professionals. And then the World GBC started in 2002, although I started working on it in 92, 93. And it's in 85 countries, so that's exciting.
That's amazing, David. It's been great seeing this movement, even for me who's just entering this world now. There's so much to learn, and it excites me a lot. I want to ask you, David, what were the biggest challenges when it came to scaling this movement across the US and then internationally as well?
Many, many challenges, as any startup finds, and even mature organization needs to keep innovating. And those challenges change as you mature and grow as a nonprofit or even a for-profit business. Early on, you're broke, you don't have anything, no money. Maybe you have some visionaries with a lot of ingenuity and drive and piss and vinegar, but that has to turn into some cash flow to pay for an organization. So who's going to fund that? Is it early founding members, which we had, and then members? Are you going to tier it to who can afford to pay? Maybe $1 billion companies more than a nonprofit organization or a 2-person architecture firm. Who are you going to have at your table? If you're going at sustainability, green building, you need everybody at the table. You don't want an orchestra with just violins and violin concertos. You need drums and trumpets and French horns and flutes. And so we had to figure out who's at our table. What are they going to do at the table? Are they just going to talk and dream? Are you going to build a rating system to define green buildings for the US and the world, which became the lead? And are you going to educate? Who are you going to educate? How are you going to educate? You're going to have a conference. You're going to have a reference guide. You're going to do case studies. You're going to do research. And are you going to be a leadership group? How do you define leadership? In LEED, that's the L, leadership standard for it in energy and environmental performance. And how are you going to grow? What are your sources of revenue? It's going to be a conference, so you can have sponsors. Why are they going to come? How do you differentiate from the other initiatives? And who runs it? Do you have staff? How do you pay for them? What do they do? Are they good? Are they qualified? Are you going to have a board of directors as a nonprofit? Who's on the board? Is it just because they gave you money, or they actually are good? What are the qualifications? And so many challenges early on, and then as you grow, how do you sustain growth? How do you keep innovating? How do you keep being essential? Are there competitors? Yeah. How do you differentiate?
David, in recent times, how have you seen that this movement which you started has been able to stay relevant in today's modern age?
It's so important to stay relevant for us too. You're doing a podcast, you're building your relevancy, differentiating yourself. And we all need to do it, even me in my 6th or 7th leg of a career. But you need to keep innovating, you need to keep growing, you need to keep looking for the future, the trends. Where's Earth going? Where are buildings going? Where are professionals going? And be legitimate and add value, strategic value, not just words, but words that make a difference, words that inspire, words that push performance standards, words that help them grow their business, words that help them make and design a better building, build a better building. So you have to keep pushing. We've pushed at USGBC. LEED just recently came out with version 5.0. It's got more credits for climate change. It's got materials and resource credits for embodied carbon. That's becoming even more important, not just operational carbon of how we operate buildings and homes over time, but what about the carbon in the concrete and the steel and the aluminum and the windows? And how do you even calculate that? How do you get that information from the manufacturers? And then how do you lower it? That's the elephant in the room we're focused on now.
David, I'm interested to hear your perspective on how you see capital and investment flowing into this whole sustainable development movement within the next 5 to 10 years.
That's a hard one. Who knows, really? Right now is a hiccup in our society about climate change and science and data and things that are proven and important. And that's impacting the grants and the capital markets and hurting lots of people that got Department of Energy grants. Our Energy Star program was phenomenal, the best investment the government ever made. So that's hitting the capital markets and sustainability and ESG and corporate sustainability. But that's a short-term blip. This is about the future of Earth, the future of people, and whether humans are a laboratory experiment or not. That isn't words, it's science. It's fires and floods and storms and typhoons and heating up rising oceans and acidification and killing of coral reefs and making soil turn to dirt and deforestation and ozone holes and population growth and our ability to feed and sustain and keep healthy. This is data. This is real science, real numbers, and it's hard. We're over 8 billion, 8.2 billion. How do we feed the next billion? We're headed to 10. How do we feed them? Okay, we had fertilizer. Okay, we got it from the oceans. Okay, we have fish farms. What's next? And those people, as we go from less developed to more developed, they want more. That more has a waste impact. It has a pollution impact. We call them externalities because we don't want to account for them. Don't worry about me. That's outside of my house. I don't care about that global warming or acidification. Forget that. I need to buy my new Porsche or something, or my bigger house. But it all comes together. It's about ecosystems. It's about sustaining life. And these important things like air, water, oceans, fish, food, resources to feed the growth and allow us all to have a good quality of life. And it all ties into it. So the economic models have to fund this stuff, and it has to be tied to value and wealth creation and return on investment. And it's a different kind of growth we need, a growth in lessening ecological footprint, a growth in doing more with less, and a growth in rewarding financially the billionaires of the future, lower our footprint.
Completely agreed. I believe that this movement, it's more than just real estate per se. It encompasses the entire future of humanity itself. So it's amazing that you mentioned that, David. I want to ask you, for developers who are focused on sustainability and climate-based KPIs, what existing strategies can they employ within their strategies to align profitability with impact?
Well, we've done economic studies on green building for over 2 decades, and green building and even sustainability needs to tie direct into the bottom line. If you're a nonprofit executive and you're just talking about save the trees, the whales, the this, the that, forget it. This is about money. Sustainability is about money. I go to meetings, I used to do this as a green consultant, and say to the real estate guy, do you like money? The guy would say, yeah, I love money. Do you want to make more money? Sure. Do you want to double your net worth? Sure. Do you want to lessen your risk in your company you're running? Sure. I didn't say anything about sustainability or green. I'm just money. So, okay, well, you got 1 million square feet. Your average energy bill is $5 a square foot. That's $5 million a year. And I think if we studied it and went hard at it, we could lessen it by 30%. And that's 1.5 million. And your market price earning ratio of your publicly listed stock is 20. Let's do a 20 multiplier on 1.5 million. That's an extra 30 million in market cap. You own 1 million shares. There are this many shares outstanding. I just increased your net worth. How's that sound?
Amazing. I'm all in.
So I would study the annual reports, the 10Ks, the 10Qs, the square footages, the energy bills, the water bills, the waste bills, the tenants, the rent of the buildings, if it's a landlord. How do you make your building an A or A plus building, not a C building? Well, today it has to be, if it's new, it has to be LEED. It has to have the well healthy standard. It needs good air quality, good flexibility, good resiliency. These expensive employees, the tech people, don't want glare on their computer screens. They want it all. So you want to get your tenants the rent. You want to keep your tenants, lower vacancy. You want to lower your expenses. All that ties into net income. And then the cap rate you use will be a better cap rate, the better the quality of the building. Less risk, insurance risk, resiliency risk. That's worth more. That's A plus, not C. You want to own C, a C company, a C building?
Yeah, exactly. David, my next question is going to be with your global movement that you've inspired and helped, countless countries just join this movement. Which countries have you seen are at the pioneering this movement, and how can you help other countries to pick up on this and catch up to them?
We can learn from every country on earth and every culture and every person. And even the U.S. is big, some other countries are big, but there's a lot for us to learn right around the world. We're not the best at everything, and culture's different, economic development levels are different. Some of these countries that had far less had to do more with what they had, and they can teach us about harnessing the wind better, harnessing the sun, better yields in agriculture and food. So there's a lot to learn. But some countries do have higher GDPs and more people and higher growth rates and bigger green building councils, more staff, more buildings, more net zero buildings, and we can learn from them. And in the World Green Building Council with the 85 countries, we have the world divided into 7 regions. And those regions, the countries help each other. How to establish their GBC, how to grow it, share tools and event models that worked, and research papers, and help each other, all boats rise together. And of course, US is the biggest. We started first. We're pretty big as a country, but Canada's had a great legacy. They got into net zero with a great standard before the US, and we could learn from them. The Green Building Council of Australia has always been one of my favorite. Smaller country, but innovative, direct spoken. They make great flat whites, coffees from Noosa. But they contributed a lot. They didn't use LEED or the BREEAM system out of England, which was the first in the world. They studied everybody and invented Green Star. And Green Star had a different model that even the US or BREEAM could learn from. And then they licensed it to New Zealand and South Africa. Or 2 decades ago, you go to Japan, they had the CASB rating system with BIM modeling in it. And there's a lot to learn there. In Singapore, there's Green Mark. In Hong Kong, there's Beam Plus. In China, there's 3 Star. All of them have interesting things to share.
Yeah, most definitely. I completely agree that we could learn from all the different countries, and it's amazing to see how this is such a global movement. David, we are now at the age of artificial intelligence and innovation. I'm curious to see how AI can play into the future of the green building movement and this entirety of ESG.
Let me hold on a sec. I want to put your question into ChatGPT and see what it says. It's like my chat is called Zenobia, and it's a mythic queen of great powers, and we're kind of close the last 2 years as I I learned to use it better as a tool. And I'm writing a new book, and we're really having fun dialogues, and that engagement is incredible, and the opportunities. And I'm sure there's a million ways to use that and other engines better, whether it's Claude or I know Meta has something, and Gemini. But it changes everything in every industry. Whether it's you're writing a contract and you need help, you want to hire the lawyer, you want to research your competition, you want to know global best practices, you need help to edit the document, you have a personal issue with a parent who needs assisted living and you don't know anything about it, or a drug that is prescribed and you want to learn about it. It's incredible. It's not always accurate, so you can't take it verbatim. You need to double and triple check sometimes. ChatGPT 4.0 wasn't as strong as 5.0 and now 5.1. 4.0 was too much of a cheerleader, and it had a programming bias to be supportive, which is lovely as a friend and a therapist maybe. But if your chapter of a book you wrote and you put in it as shit, it didn't always tell you as shit. And so you can now go in and edit its guidance on programming. And Chat 5.0, I haven't used 5.1, just came out, but is so much stronger and a great tool. And I program it. I want you to be a hard ass, discerning. Don't be nice. Don't encourage something that isn't great. Push me harder, better, more, better, smarter, faster, more brilliant, creative, innovative. Push me for that. And then I push it back and say, dude, I already knew all that. What do you got that I don't know? And I think you need to check your facts. I think they're wrong. You got it wrong. And I don't like that tone. I don't like that voice. What have I forgotten? Make me better, man. What did I forget in this writing I did, in this design, in this email, in this PTSD-driven trauma thought? Help me. Help me grow. Give me resources. Give me training. Critique me.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I follow the same approach with all my different LLMs. That's amazing that you mentioned that, David. Now, crystal ball looking at 5 years. Yeah.
We can use AI to better us as humans. And that's really what I'm trying to say. And I'm hoping with AI managed, it will take our areas of incompleteness and waste, and even our ego-driven brains, especially for the male race, and make us more humanistic, make us more empathetic, make us more heart-driven, and help us accelerate human evolution to survive.
Yeah, using AI to accelerate the transition towards a better and greener planet. Amazing. Crystal ball, David, where do you see the green building movement within the next 5 to 10 years, holistically?
It's spreading. We went from 80 councils to 85 in the last 1 year. There's almost 200 countries on Earth, so we need them all in the game. I don't care what the size. We need all buildings to be designed green, built green, operated green. Green is healthy, energy efficient, renewable power, minimize waste towards zero. Be flexible and adaptable, be resilient for fires, earthquakes, typhoons, floods. Not have a first life and they're demolished, but be deconstructible or adaptable for change over 100 years. Not be disposable. These data centers are getting bigger and consuming huge amounts of power and water and heating up communities, but they're important, and We talked about AI, and I love it, but every time David does a query, there's a lot of CO2. And so that's the elephant in the room. And we have to figure it out. It's hard with that growth. AI alone is requiring massive growth, huge, from megawatts to gigawatts. It's insane, and that's the biggest growth in the world, and also the biggest potential benefit and the biggest environmental footprint. So that's a struggle in green building with these data centers.
Yeah.
But the fires, the LA fires, all those homes that burn so fast, how do we rebuild so we're smart? And just rebuilding the same thing fast, that is dumb.
Yeah, it seems that, David, as if there's so much issues at the same time that all these new opportunities are coming out, and it's like, how do we capitalize on the opportunities without leaving a drastic impact, negative impact? That's the bottleneck that I see we're facing.
It's all about impact.
I wanted to ask,
That's the word.
Yeah. Over decades, now, my next question is, over decades of impact, what philosophies or mindset shifts have you kept that have maintained you on this path of purpose and impact? Because a lot of people can get astray, but how have you been able to keep yourself grounded in that sustainable, impact-driven approach?
It hasn't all been one slope. The slopes are jagged sometimes, but maybe the trend is up. So I still, even at this stage of life, want to make a difference. I still want to leave a legacy that I'm proud of. Some of that's ego. So I've come to deal with ego and talk to it, manage it, try to get rid of it sometimes. But I still care. I have a daughter. I think in school with you, or you're at UCLA, she's at USC.
Yeah.
And I care for her and future grandkids. I care for this earth. I love the earth. I'm a naturalist. I think the divine got the creation mostly right. I think the human element struggles. I think the seventh day of creation was taken off for the Sabbath, and the humans could have used a little more work on the seventh day instead of a day off. I think he or she finished dogs on the sixth day and got them perfect. But the humans were made brilliant in the ability to think and waste and create and innovate, but also kill ourselves and kill the planet. A lot of the planet, not all of it, but I think the planet will be fine with or without us. I think we're a laboratory experiment, and I don't know if we're another extinction or we can use our great intelligence to wake up. But we're waking up so late to the game, it's hard. It's like fighting with one arm behind your back, and maybe one arm and one leg. So you got one arm and one leg to fight with. So it's possible. Maybe AI can create artificial arm and leg, but we're questionable as a species. If you take the word human and you put the letter E at the end, that's humane. And it's whether we want to make the shift, and I call it the E revolution, to give David hope, accelerate hope. And hope stands for health on planet Earth. Accelerate that. So if you're so smart and brilliant, don't just make money, but accelerate hope.
That's amazing. And David, it's so unfortunate. So much people around the world don't see these issues, but there are countless people everywhere being affected, whether it be poverty or lack of food or just anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we need to help those people. We shouldn't have have-nots on Earth with the amount of money and resources and technology. There's no reason for that except for ego and greed and regulation and things. Buckminster Fuller in the 50s and 60s thought he would celebrate and dance on stage because technology got to the point where everyone could have. And he thought that would be awesome. And it never happened. Poor guy, he's pretty unhappy up there somewhere.
David, now to round out the podcast, I have 3 questions left for you. My first one would be, what has been your favorite project, initiative, or thing that you've done across your career that you are really proud of?
I'm proud of my daughter foremost. Maybe all parents say that, but I just love being a parent to her and the opportunity to learn about unconditional love and to nurture that and enjoy every day of that growth together and the sharing of love, real love, and teaching me that. And also teaching me how to repair when I would hurt her and she's 4 years old and slammed the door. She didn't care what your title is or your net worth. You hurt your kid. Go up there and hug her and tell her you're sorry and you love her. And that love needs to be extended to others of all types. And to see as you mature and grow and evolve and become more conscious, we're all brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter race or culture or country. We're all brothers and sisters, and earth is our home or our temple or our congregation. And when you hurt other, you hurt self. When you hurt nature, you kill life. We're not separate from nature. We can't conquer nature. Nature will be here when we're gone. We need to understand we are of nature and treat it that way more as some of the indigenous tribes understood. You don't own the land. You need to not kill the lands and the aquifers, drain them. There are lungs. Don't kill your lungs. And there's so much beauty here. And the creation is fantastic. There aren't just one species of trees or flowers. There's cactus, and then they bloom with some big stake coming out of them, and then there's beautiful pink flowers on top. It's just incredible. But it's whether we choose to love it and honor it, or do we need to own it and trademark it and grow it and sell it and deplete it and for what? For what? A bigger house, a faster car, more crap we don't need. And those have-nots, a lot of us are fortunate. Everyone should have a good home with electricity and heating and cooling and fresh water and access to good education and safety and food and opportunities for women or people who are minorities. It's not that their brains are any different. They just didn't get what we take for granted. And there should be a better sharing of the commons and the good.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement of everything you said. I fully believe that this world, it's precious, it's beautiful, and it's a gift that we've been given to us by the divine. So it's up to us to take care of it, not only so we can enjoy it, but for our future generations as well.
Yeah, that's we've been given the gift of life, and we should give that back.
Yeah, completely agree. David, my next question to you would be, what is something you would do differently if you were 21? So put yourself in my shoes, being 21 years old, what steps would you have done differently?
God, I would love to be 21 with who I am now. Save some time. I'd run into less walls with my head. Maybe break less bones. I'm not sure. But, well, you're doing a lot right already. I met you at an event. You're going to educational events to learn. You came up and met me. You got me on a podcast. So you're curious. And you're pushing yourself to grow and to be a leader. And you could do that at any age. You're not waiting till you're older so you can start. I'm here, you got me here. I saw your spirit and who you were. I didn't care you're 21. I want to reach people that you can reach, because that's part of my message, isn't just to get big fees and reach rich people, who are older. I want to reach the kids, because you're the future, and I want to plant seeds in your soul to work at something of passion, purpose, and legacy, to have a life of greater meaning. Of course you want to do well. I like nice things, nice houses, and first class is just fine on a plane. They serve better food. I'm not an idiot, but I do question how much is enough, and what do you do with all that? Do you create good in the world? Do you accelerate hope? And so I want to talk to the younger people and help them see a bigger earth, help them see how fortunate they are, help them navigate education to learn the whole education, not just finance so you can be a venture capitalist or private equity, not just computer programming so you can do AI, but learn about climate change, learn about population, learn about growth, learn about externalities, learn about have-nots and the starving, learn about the draining aquifers, the rising oceans, the acidification and the deforestation. Put it all together with AI opportunities to do well for you and your family, but also lessen that ecological footprint, improve health, serve the have-nots and yourself, and be proud of every breath you got here.
I very much appreciate your words, and I am very much looking forward to sharing this with my peers who they can draw inspiration from. So thank you for those comments, David. And
one
my last
last
question.
thing on that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
As a 21-year-old, you're bright, your brain works, your memory's better, your energy's high, your dreams hopefully are big. Maybe you don't know what you're going to do. Your creativity's high. You can come up with ideas older generations haven't thought of. You see things differently. Trust yourself. Listen to your soul. Hear that divine voice inside. Don't fire hose it or let a mentor or a peer or a friend think you're nuts when you have passion for an idea. Get those who are supportive and get that self-doubt out of your head. But do your homework, do your research. Be diligent, conscientious. But we need your innovations. And one of the things is I learned by creating the U.S. Green Building Council and the World one is to trust myself. Because there are hundreds of people who said I was nuts. There's nothing there, it won't work. You'll starve. Why the hell do you want to work at green building? To make money, we had to create a movement to build a marketplace to get paid. That's insane. But here it is, all in 85 countries, and it's $1 trillion or more industry. And computers in the beginning, they were starving. In cancer research, a lot of these innovations came from starving, bright, curious people with passion who didn't quit. And that's what we need. So don't let anyone fire hose you, but be smart and diligent.
I appreciate that. Will do, David. Now, my last question to you is around advice. What is your best piece of advice that you could give to the next generation of entrepreneurs who want to build meaningful careers with impact and purpose?
Some of it is what I just said. Listen to yourself and your own guidance system. Hear it. Don't morph into your parent or what they want you to be. Morph into yourself. Who are you? What are you here to do? But listen to yourself. It has its own navigational system. We're all different. Some are great at science. Some love gardening. Others are great at music. Some might just want to help people. They're loving, big hearts. Listen to that. Don't put on the false suit that feels fake. Wear your suit. And what is that? I can't tell you. You have to find it yourself and look around and see the people you're meeting or career options, graduate schools, what resonates. Not where's the big buck, but what resonates to you, what feeds you, look for mentors or others who are living a life might be interesting to you, and ask them for a coffee and see how that fits. You could try on different clothing and suits, and some of them feel wrong. That's part of growing up too. Take risks, try new opportunities. I wanted to paint my entire life and took one class in my early 20s, and it was oil painting, and the instructor thought my techniques were horrible and I hated it. And I didn't take up painting till I was 50. And I just went into the art store, interviewed them on the options, decided on the acrylic painter, bought the easel, bought the paints, bought the brushes, set it up, and just started. And I'm still painting. And I've had, 10, 15 shows, 2 galleries, paintings sold all over the world. And here's one behind you. It's called Radiance. I painted that.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
My soul. That's my soul. That's my light. That's my dreams. I'm a freaking spark plug. Don't fire hose me. I'm going to explode outside of you. But I'm going to make that light renewable and sustaining. And that's driven by soul and spirit and hope and dreams. That's no training. Maybe it sucks and no one wants it, but I look at it and it kindles my spirit.
Awesome. That's a great podcast, David. I'm so appreciative of your time and all the insights and everything that I learned. Where can people find out more about you, your work, and everything that's involved with the green building movement?
Sure. You can go to usgbc.org for the U.S. Green Building Council. You can go to worldgbc.org for the world. You'll find the 85 countries there. You can go to usgbc-ca.org for USGBC California, which is phenomenal. For me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can write to me there and see my full background. My website is just starting out and being built, but you can track it. It's regen360.net. I am writing a new book. It'll come out next year. It's an operating system for Earth, and I think you'll enjoy that. And a lot of what we talked about will be there. And my prior book was called Explosion Green. It's the 20-year story of building the World Green Building Movement, but from a personal perspective. It's my version of Siddhartha, so that might help you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David, for your insights. Very inspiring. You're going to change a lot of lives. You already have, so I appreciate your time and bless you always.
Thank you for what you're doing, for asking great questions, for having me here and pursuing your own dreams. I admire that. Thank you.
Bye.